Good afternoon, judges and members of the House. As the leader of the opposition, I rise to refute the previous speaker's claims that the death penalty should be kept and simply fixed. While the proposal sounds reasonable on the surface, it ultimately fails to address the core problems of capital punishment, and it creates new ones in the process. The opposition argues that instead of banning the death penalty, we should improve it by creating specialized teams and shortening the process. However, this assumes that the death penalty is fundamentally salvageable. The reality is the death penalty is structurally flawed, morally dangerous, and financially irresponsible, that no amount of reform can change that. First, let's address their claim about cost. The speaker argues that creating specialized death penalty teams would save money by shortening trials and executions. This is simply not supported by evidence. Capital cases are expensive because they require additional layers of review to prevent irreversible mistakes. Adding specialized lawyers, investigators, and experts, it does not reduce cost, it increases it. States that actively use the death penalty consistently spend millions more per case than states that sentence offenders to life without parole. The idea that execution is cheaper than incarceration ignores decades of data. The speaker also claims that life imprisonment without parole costs taxpayers more in the long run. This is misleading. While incarceration has costs, death penalty cases include decades of appeals, specialized housing, and heightened security. California alone has spent billions on death row without carrying out executions. If reform truly saved money, we would already see that reflected in states that use capital punishment. But we don't. Next, the opposition claims that a specialized team would prevent wrongful convictions. This is a dangerous assumption. Wrongful convictions do not happen because lawyers lack expertise alone. They happen because of systemic bias, flawed evidence, flawed confessions, and even unreliable witnesses. No system can guarantee perfection. And when the punishment is death, one mistake is one too many. The speaker admits reform is needed, but that alone proves the punishment itself is too risky to maintain. The argument that fixing the system solves wrongful execution ignores a critical fact. You can't undo death. Life without parole allows the justice system to correct mistakes if new evidence emerges. Execution permanently removes that safeguard. Reform does not eliminate human error, it only disguises it. The opposition also argues that banning the death penalty violates human rights because prisoners are not rehabilitated under life sentences. This is a contradiction. If the speaker truly values rehabilitation, execution eliminates that possibility entirely. Life imprisonment may limit reform, but death guarantees its impossibility. Claiming that killing someone protects their human rights undermines the very definition of human dignity. Additionally, the speaker claims families of victims do not receive justice without the death penalty. This assumes all families want execution, which is false. Many families have spoken out against capital punishment because it prolongs trauma through years of appeals and media attention. Justice does not mean more killing. It means accountability without repeating violence. The claim that offenders could walk free under life without parole is misleading. Life without parole means exactly what that means: no release. The fear-based argument that dangerous criminals will re-enter society is not grounded in reality. The justice system already has mechanisms to keep violent offenders permanently incarcerated without resorting to execution. Finally, the opposition frames banning the death penalty as a band-aid solution. In reality, abolition is the only permanent fix. Reforming a broken system keeps it alive. Abolishing it ends the cycle of discrimination, error, and excessive cost. When a system repeatedly fails, we don't keep repairing it endlessly. We replace it with something safer and more just. So in summary, the previous speaker has not proven that reforming the death penalty solves its core problems. They have not shown that it saves money, prevents wrongful executions, or delivers better justice. Instead, they ask us to gamble with human lives in the hope that this time the system will finally work. The opposition believes justice should be firm, fair, and reversible when mistakes occur. The death penalty fails every one of those standards. For these reasons, I strongly urge the House to reject reform and support abolition. Thank you.